This is the poem that got me hissed off stage at the Green Mill in Chicago back in the late 90s. This is Ode to Cali. And then the ache of earth falls like golden night on dim Pacific shores. Redwood groves grow slowly like the implied continent falling to the third world. California's north crunches up from the high desert of Oregon like startling reminders of Cascade greens turned suddenly darker than the ocean's greatest depths. Shasta's snowy legend calms the sun patiently and defiantly bends I-5, turning it specifically southward into the sonic valley that completes America, magnifying sacred swampfuls of almonds and aiming for Sacramento at midnight, the very breath of Bigfoot lingering over the dry valley like mists of mosquitoes, clouded like gnats, intimidated by foothills and ranges east and west. The young peaks eye us in every sainted city, tumbling eventually to cracked desert land, and the tired sands of Mexico, denied all but Colorado's weakened mud, bleeding desperately for the Gulf of California, and a nation is spanned quite nearly. Poets arm and disappear into the Sierra Nevada instead of growing old. And the final drunken throes of madness resist the temptation of mourning among otters and mice at Big Sur. The desperate gasp of the thirsty Otto sputters to a halt in Death Valley, turning memories of civilization into cherished oases, and images of Barstow and Baker leave us unconcerned nearing Los Angeles and her impending descent into San Pedro Channel. Yosemite's cliffside dramas stand eventually black and white in myriad lenses, innumerable degrees of focus, 10 times high as Niagara. Because her great gold fields suggest sunshine, the yellow of sand, and of bright summer hills. The great western tone of orange groves hint at Eden, earthly in the highest sense and perfect as her greatest depths. Heat meets the bitter cold for miles, tearing at the flesh of the continent, among her countless faults where cities creep and hide neath barren flags and caramel sunsets. The mere tradition of huge standing pines of the north shrink slowly toward drier forests of stranded palms. The bristlecones of Benton see farther than Himalayan glaciers, and the ghostly grace of bustling mission swallows confuse the wisest traveler. Here, there are but 2 rivers of consequence, erupting at each end of Sierra's 400-mile wall of rock, and joining in a calm westward bend. Dreaming of San Francisco's brave odor of fish and song, and the general spread of upward America, flattening countless naked mountains that will most assuredly burn again, like the countless unseemly braggings that pass the clouded nights of Alcatraz. America's skinned elbow bends pitted forever across diffident California terrain, prim at the point of suspension, leaving an aftertaste of lesser agilities, ailments, and circumspect bliss in the clarity of Lake Tahoe. The alacrity of creased land, grave and genial, rests improbably tarnished, imbued in realism, with a sardonic chuckle in the ground beneath us, immune to the scree of our stubborn and gnarled hosannas. Hollywood became a pastime, and wealth a playground in the wasteland by the sea, brave Los Angeles, where the bus station stands squarely incomprehensible and threatening, and her freeways waver under the constant heat of engines in lanes spread impossibly wide between the constant billowing and general thrusting of burned buildings and tortured lots, crushed vacant, leaving sad markings of generational passage in plumes of smoke at the empire's bitter core. When the young land of the West rages into sultry eons, wise as the withered Appalachians, California will consume us. When the dust blows wider than a sea of grain, and the iron mass of muscular America falls to emptied warehouses along brown rivers in countless Milwaukees and Clevelands and Buffalos, California will arouse us. When the salty myths of recent histories fall again to the traditional fear of proximity, the lure of California, the constant implication of her stunning breadth in the silent roar of northeastern lava beds, in the relentless pound of waves begun in Asian waters, in the eventual drift of Fresno and Modesto and Stockton from distant western towns joined by hissing rails and telegraph lines to a bleak spread of homes and properties bulging near unreachable distances. The mere suggestion of the continent finally resolved distracts us. Our unshackled spirit, finally vivid enough to fly where condors paled under the slow weight of our anonymous drift westward. And again, we drift steadily into the brief night, awake in the smallest hours, swaying gently in the heated caress of lamplight, flickering in the waxy shadow of the vampire sun.